Hi. I wanted to start by asking you to think about something. So what was the first big thing you bought in your life, right? So for some people, it might be a watch, could be a pair of sneakers, maybe. For me, it was a cycle. It was a bicycle. So then the next logical question to ask is, so how did I buy it? How did I finance it, right? Well, I had a little bit of saving. I'd accumulated some pocket money. And I had a deficit, so I approached my very benevolent mother to fill the deficit. And then I knew that in case she was upset with me and didn't give it to me, then I would have to go after my sister, who always had more money than I did, and I would periodically borrow from her, right? But imagine a scenario where I didn't have the same savings tools. I didn't have access to transfers from people who like me. I didn't have access to any sort of borrowing facility. Well, then I don't have a cycle, yeah? So it's, in many cases, it's not about things that are just inconveniences, like having to walk instead of cycle. But in some cases, it can be about things that are fundamental, investing in learning, investing in healthcare. And these are things we don't want to mess around with. These are things that must be available for everyone to have a superb kind of life. And if you look across the globe, there are severe inequalities in how people access and use finance. So I'm just going to give you one number, nothing in the millions, but just one simple number. So in the US, on average, every person has about 2 bank accounts. In Malawi, 1 in 5 people have a bank account. And this is probably the first step of interacting with the formal financial system, right? So why is this the case? It's been a problem for a while. There are issues of cost, regulation, information about products and how to use them. And these are sort of the traditional barriers, and we're making good progress in trying to reduce some of these barriers, especially on the cost front with the use of various technological channels. But there are still some things which will make it very difficult for people to do finance right. And that has to do with sort of society and with human behavior. So I'm going to give you a quick example to follow up on some of the things that Dean introduced, right? So part of the problem is that people are strange. We do all sorts of bizarre things. So last night you went to bed. You said, I'm going to get up. I have to get to this conference, so I'll get up at 7 a.m. But if you let nature take her course, you would have gotten up at 11 a.m., right? But you have to control some sort of future behavior of yours. So you use a piece of technology, the alarm clock. And then comes 7 a.m., Aishwarya wants to get up at 7:15. 7:15 a.m., Aishwarya wants to get up at 7:30, right? And so you invent the snooze button. And if you still are sort of stuck, then you have to sort of resort to clocky, which is the alarm clock that jumps off and starts walking. So part of the problem is that we have self-control issues, and we need to figure out the right commitment devices for them. And this is exactly what we do in the financial sector. We design the right kinds of products and services to help poor families get to the goals they set for themselves. And we do this by using a variety of tools. We have simple things like safe boxes. We put labels on passbooks of savings accounts to remind people of the goals they set. We also deliver information as well as payment services over mobile phones, right? And the kinds of results you see are fairly dramatic for small tweaks. A small tweak in a savings product in the Philippines led to a tripling of savings balances. But you're not just interested in savings balances, right? You don't want to die with $2 million in your bank account, because then you haven't actually lived. You haven't used that money in some interesting and useful way. So what you want are the welfare outcomes. And this is another case from Kenya, where we tested just the safe box, leads to a doubling in healthcare investment. And in Malawi, we did this in the agricultural sector, a commitment savings product, where you have a penalty if you withdraw early, leads to a doubling of investment in agricultural inputs. It leads to a much greater area of land that you sow, and a quadrupling of the output from your farm. So I want us to sort of take this and go back to sort of the overall theme. Finance has a very bad name at the moment, right? Everybody hates the financial sector, and for good reason. But finance was born sort of from very beautiful principles. It's about thinking about the present and the future. It's about self-reliance. It's about solidarity. And part of the reason we've gotten waylaid is because we're looking at financial outcomes, when what we should be looking at are welfare outcomes, right? What the dreams that people are going after, and how the right financial tools can get them there. So I'll leave you with that thought. Thanks.